This is the Surly Grognards for April 23rd, 2018. This is Peter Bowman, and as always, I'm joined by my good friend and co-host, Eric Carlson. Carlson. I can talk.
Language
Words.
hard.
I know. I'm usually so professional, too. How are you doing tonight, Eric?
I'm doing all right.
Excellent. So, this week, I thought we'd do another campaign brainstorming session, because those are always a lot of fun.
They are.
We've done a bunch of them, and so at this point, we're sort of going to have to start revisiting some genres, I think, if we do more of these. As we do more of these. And we've done that a couple of times. We've already done fantasy more than once. And I thought it would be kind of fun to do... Okay, part of the reason I thought of this is I recently been watching some stuff on various superhero movies and such. And it got me thinking about superheroes again. So I thought doing another thing on superheroes would be kind of fun.
And superheroes are cool. Everybody likes superheroes.
Yes, and
People who don't like superheroes are terrible.
Well, yeah. I also was thinking that so we've already done a superhero campaign setting, which was a lot of fun to do, and I thought we'd do something a little bit different this time. My thought for this one would be to approach superheroes setting. The big sort of one of the big things in it is a lot of superhero settings. You know, they have a lot of people have different origins for their powers. That's if you look at the two big publishing companies for superhero comic books, DC and Marvel, like with their settings, Jesus Christ, how many different possible origins for your superpowers are there?
Well, generally it breaks down to tech, genetic, and magic. Genetic could be alien, mutation, what have you.
I mean, well, genetic. I mean, like there's technology of various sorts.
Right.
Be it power armor, cybernetics, nanomachines, son. You've got or someone's done sort of like some biological experiments on them, which that's science and tech, but that bleeds into the genetic side.
Right.
And that could be mutations or genetic engineering or got bathed in wacky chemicals and developed superpowers because science. Magic's another thing.
Rolled around all this toxic waste with the intention of getting superpowers. Well, all I got was lymphoma.
Yeah. And so you look at like Marvel and DC, and there's this plethora of superpowers and ways people come up with superpowers, and that's fine. There's nothing wrong with that. But I do think it's also interesting to look at a superhero setting where people's powers are all one source. And I think it's an interesting way to do things. There are a few examples of this. George R. R. Martin's superhero novels series, Wildcards. All the superpowers on Earth are a result of an alien genetic retrovirus, basically, it had some interesting effects. It was designed by this alien culture because they wanted to use it to give themselves superpowers, but they didn't want to test it on themselves for what we like to call not stupid
Obvious
reasons. And they studied the galaxy and found a planet where the inhabitants were genetically similar enough that they could actually do testing, which was Earth. And so they released their retrovirus on Earth, and it had some effects, which led to a bunch of people gaining superpowers. And a bunch of people who were affected by it were horribly mutated and became monstrous, but often had superpowers. And then the other people just died horribly. This was written in the mid to late 80s, so the AIDS epidemic sort of effect, definitely had a influence on the writing here, shall we say. But
I never would have guessed that.
Yeah, no kidding.
Huh.
But it's
Who
actually
would have thought science fiction would have any correlation to real life?
exactly no, that would never happen. But at any rate, it's the wildcard books are often very interesting, and it's an interesting way to look at superheroes, especially. And Clockwork Grunt in the chat brings up that X-Men sometimes, when X-Men is not interacting with the rest of the Marvel Universe, it feels that way. You are almost entirely correct.
I'm actually reminded of an old Cyberpunk 2020 sort of spin-off game called Cyber Generation, where it was so fucking anime, this game. Where teenagers started spontaneously developing superpowers. It all seemed to be the result of weird nanotech, but no one could figure out how or why.
Right. More specifically, technically speaking, virtually all the superpowers in wildcards were psionic in nature. In fact, no, all the superpowers in wildcards were psionic in nature, even if they didn't look like it at first. Like the woman who grew big white feathery wings that could fly. Yeah, the wings didn't actually let her fly. She was actually just levitating herself. Or the dude who basically became super strong and was invulnerable. Telekinesis and a telekinetic force field. Technically speaking, whole bunch of even the super inventors it was technically psionic because like they could make this, like there's this guy who built a fully android fully sapient powerful android with like super weapons and such. No one else could figure out how to make how he made the damn thing work. Like no one else can fix it. Especially which is a bit unfortunate for the character in question, Modular Man, since his creator dies. So he can't be repaired anymore.
So what you're saying is he could do orc tech.
Basically.
Yeah. No, I can make it work. It'll be fine. It'll work fine. We'll just paint it red. That'll get you some extra mileage out of it.
It's a really interesting
series. Bullets red, they'll go faster.
Yep. It's an interesting series of books. I do recommend checking them out at some point. And you may recognize the name George R. R. Martin. He doesn't do all the writing. He's largely the editor for the books. There are a bunch of other authors who are all part of his superhero RPG campaign that spawned the idea for these books. One of the creators involved in it was Roger Zelazny. So yeah, there's some interesting shit in there. At any rate, so and a lot of the time, like one of the most common. I've looked at a bunch of over the years. I've looked at a bunch of single power source settings, and the two most common that I've seen, have been mutation of some sort, like natural sort of mutation, and magic. So I kind of want to rule those two out for what we're doing tonight. Because it's just common.
Good, honestly, because that's not the direction I wanted to go in.
Right. Magic is the problem with magic is it's magic.
Yeah.
It's a little too easy to wait.
It's a little too easy to work in there.
Yep.
And it's unless you have a very strict regimented magic system, it's pretty much a free-for-all.
Right. Exactly. I mean, it doesn't.
Nothing wrong with a big old free-for-all, but
that's sort of what we're trying not to do. Was my point.
Yeah.
And sort of actual natural mutation. I kind of want to. That's the X-Men.
Yeah.
I mean, there's nothing wrong with the X-Men. It's a good setting. You could do a great RPG campaign using the X-Men as the template. But again, that's sort of what I don't want to do.
Right.
So I kind of want to shade it more over towards sort of deliberate genetic engineering or cybernetics, some sort of or technology, but specifically not like technology, but I don't want to. I want to sort of avoid sort of the power armory thing. So I'm thinking more either cybernetics or nanotech or something.
I was
like that.
actually thinking uncontrolled alien nanotech released in the atmosphere.
That actually was where I was sort of going also.
Oh, excellent. Okay.
I was thinking actually that I was thinking nanotech or some sort of high tech as a result of actually first contact with an alien species. And it's not entirely clear whether the aliens are benevolent, malevolent, or just don't give a fuck.
Right. That's cool. I was thinking it could be like the nanotech release could be the result of the ship breaking up an atmosphere either because of a malfunction or, you know, someone dumb on the planet decided to shoot it down.
Also possible. But yeah, alien nanotech, I like the idea a lot.
It still gives us a limiter on what shit can do because it has to be physical, but it leaves things wide open for a lot of shit.
Yeah.
Or if not physical, then like technokinesis, I guess, would be the term for like talking to machines and whatnot.
Sure, possibly, but yeah,
you know,
I'm definitely thinking
the brain, and now you can like do radio waves and other such shit.
All right, so we're on the same. We're in the same ballpark here, at least. That's a great start. All right, so we've got aliens. They have nanotech, and the nanotech is able to. Their nanotech is able to bond with humans, at least, possibly other species on Earth. Could produce some interesting
I hadn't even
ideas.
thought of that. That could result in some like fun monsters kicking around.
Yeah, it gives you some fun monsters to have. It means players, if someone wants to play a super intelligent gorilla, they can.
Yep.
Because what's better than a super intelligent gorilla superhero?
Cybernetic super intelligent gorilla superhero from the future.
Yep, my brother played one of those in one of the campaigns I ran.
Not that I don't have an obsession with the gorilla warrior from Feng Shui.
Oh, you know, and also, you know, super intelligent gorilla supervillains are also awesome. Looking at
yes.
Gorilla Grodd.
Gorilla Grodd.
There are a bunch of them all over the place. Super intelligent gorillas are just amazing. They are fantastic. I don't know why they're so awesome, but they are. They just are.
They really are.
All right, so I think the first thing is we have to decide is. All right, so I think we're on the ballpark. We've decided that the nanotech doesn't just work with humans; it can work with animals also.
Yeah,
because as you said, that allows us to have both, you know, non-human characters, which I think are cool. But I agree with you.
Hyper intelligent shark hive mind.
Shit like that, yeah, absolutely. You know, the nanomachines could interact with some weird with you know, some, you know, various. It could allow for megafauna also. In weird techno megafauna. Because,
Who doesn't want a cybernetic Gamera flying around on his rocket feet?
Exactly. It would explain Gamera and his rocket
Yes.
shell. I mean, because, you know, every now and then a kaiju is a fun thing to have in a superhero game.
Yeah, you can't go wrong with the kaiju attack.
Right. So the first question then is, when did the nanotech get released?
Oh,
how long do we want to have superpowers be in the world? Because that's an interesting question. And how common do we want them to be?
I say it's either like stupendously recently or about 20 years back, about a generation, so people have an idea to get it under control.
I like both of those. Yeah, I mean, my first thought that popped in my head, I discarded as being a little bit too. My first thought that popped in my head was to tie it back into the Tunguska meteorite thing.
Ooh,
But that's done a lot, actually.
that is done a lot.
Which is why I immediately said, it's such a good event.
It really is, partially because we know nothing about it.
Right, exactly. But I think it actually might be. I think I'd rather do something else.
Halley's Comet.
Ooh, that's good. That's
Halley's
good.
Comet.
I like it.
Because you get the whole, like, comets are portents of doom and change in there also, which is always fun.
I like it. I like it. Halley's Comet. So that was what year was that?
That was,
God,
I want to say 87?
Something like that. Let me look
I'm
it up.
sitting in front of my computer. I can fucking look it up.
Yeah. But yeah, Halley's Comet is excellent.
There's Halley's Comet. 86. It was a year off.
Not bad, Eric. Well done. I was thinking mid 80s, but I couldn't figure exactly when. 86. All right. So at this point, that would be about 30 years.
Yeah.
So yeah, that pegs it to your generation thing. I like it. I like it. Or depending on when you set the campaign too. I mean, you could set the campaign during the 80s, like right after Halley's Comet.
That's true. That is true. You're going to have like literal Reagan knots.
All right. So Halley's Comet arrives, and it brings with it an alien craft of some sort.
Mm.
Okay, here's my thought, Eric. An alien craft shows up at Earth, and for some reason is wrecked and crashes and releases the nanotech into the Earth's atmosphere, which is what starts the whole thing. Now, that's the first part. I think sometime later another alien ship shows up to find out what the hell happened to the first one, which leads because I like the idea of First Contact being in there.
Okay.
And is simply shows up, finds out what happened, and is now observing.
With your super spooky moon base. Because you have to have a moon base in there.
I like moon bases. Moon bases are good. Right, so yeah, they've shown up. They made themselves known to Earth and to the various Earth governments, and
now they're just sitting back and watching, pulling a whole Prime Directive thing.
That could be what they're claiming, whether it is or not.
Yeah, like, that's what they're claiming.
I want the aliens to be the aliens' motives to be mysterious.
Yeah, no, they show up and they claim a whole Prime Directive thing. Part of this has already been damaged, so unfortunately we have to let you know what's going on. But we can take no further action due to our ethics and directives. So we're just going to make a moon base and watch. Please send up somebody to pop.
The aliens maybe have some cryptic things. Like they mentioned that if things get if something goes really, really awfully wrong, they might consider intervening because they don't want to.
Something along the lines of we have a non-interference protocol regarding species at your development level until until cryptic ominous name for situation is reached.
Well, they're allowed to intervene in in extreme circumstances, like say an extinction level event. We'd be allowed to intervene if something went particularly wrong and it looked like it might lead to the extinction of your species. We are bound to protect sentient species from sentient species that have reached a sufficiently high tech level from being wiped out by outside forces. Like if you decide to blow yourselves up, we're not going to stop you. But if something goes really, really wrong and it's not you guys actually doing it yourselves, then we might be able to intervene depending.
Sure, I think it should be cryptic and weird sounding overall.
Oh yeah, absolutely. No. It shouldn't be that because it shouldn't be that direct. I'm just thinking about their motives from our point of view.
Okay. Like I said, it should be cryptic and weird sounding from when the aliens say it, and it could be they think they're being perfectly reasonable and straightforward, but alien psychology.
Right, they're not human. Here's the other thing.
They pull a Kosh, basically.
Yes. Understanding is a three-edged sword. It's one of my favorite Kosh lines.
How will this end? In fire.
That was one of his more direct responses.
That's true. It was still ominous and cryptic, though.
Well, yes, because,
Because Kosh.
Yes. Once the avalanche is started, it is too late for the pebbles to vote.
It's also pretty straightforward, but another great Koshism.
Because Kosh was great.
Yes.
Jesus. But at any rate, so here's my thought. The alien ship that arrived with Halley's Comet shows up. And due to various communication, various things go wrong, and it looks like it's shot down. Someone does something stupid and it gets blown up. I like that idea. The thing is that when the aliens show up later, when the aliens show up to find out what happened, we tell the Earth governments actually say, yeah, we kind of shot the other ship down. And it's explained, and the aliens are like, okay. Now, the thing is that one of the mysteries is how the hell did we shoot it down? Our tech should not have been good enough to do that.
Mm.
Now, it could be that
I like the idea of people assuming we shot it down because both Reagan's Star Wars program and a Soviet version of the same thing.
Yes.
And everyone just assumes that's what happened because stupid Cold War bullshit. And Star Wars actually getting off the ground before that whole, do not weaponize space treaty got signed.
Yes, and thank God for that. But yes.
Yeah.
And that actually might been the driving force to actually, agreeing to not further weaponize space, but that was a terrible idea. At least,
they did let us fight off the moon Nazis in Iron Sky.
True, but we do not have moon Nazis in this one. We have aliens on the moon.
That's
alien
true.
Observers on the moon. All right, so, and the aliens do not seem overtly upset by it. It's sort of their reaction seems to indicate that, they're a somewhat aggressive species, and they were, they panicked. Okay, it's unfortunate, but whatever. They're not happy about it, but they are not gonna take vengeance upon Earth.
I'm amused by the idea of them going, yeah, sure, you shut it down. That makes sense. That makes no sense.
But yeah, people wait, but our tech should not have been good enough to shoot it. What the hell actually happened? And that being a mystery for the campaign.
Mm.
Was it supposed to blow up and drop the nanotech on the planet? This is just a giant sort of, experiment for the aliens? Was the ship damaged during the trip and it just broke up? Was it a lucky shot?
Is there a third party involved that we have no idea about?
Yeah, or was it sabotaged by another alien species who wanted to, etc. Right. And why was why does the alien nanotech work with humans the way it does?
Here's something that I think should be. The nanotech affected every human and is present in all subsequent generations. We have no idea what activates the powers
I agree
why
with
they
that.
manifest the way they do.
I agree. I like that. It is latent in everybody.
Yeah. And the degree of nanotech in your system has no apparent bearing on whether or not you'll develop powers or the strength of said powers.
Right. I like that. Yep. It is a complete and utter goddamn mystery.
Right. The only reason we know powers are linked to the nanotech is because the nanotech changes properties when the powers activate.
Okay, I like it. That makes sense.
But yeah, you could have half of your blood replaced with friggin' mini alien robots, which might make you dead. But
and someone certainly tried that.
You might never manifest powers.
And someone almost certainly tried that.
Yes.
I'm going to replace my blood with a slurry of nanomachines. how did you get all those nanomachines? Don't ask
Do
me that
not
question.
ask questions.
You don't want to know the answer to that. Oh, now I know the answer to that. Oh, I don't like you anymore. Well, I'm going to try doing it. Oh, well, on the plus side, he didn't get powers, and he seems to be dead
Turns
now.
out the real answer was he just like had people donate bits of their blood with the nanomachines in it, and he just distracted the nanomachines. He doesn't want anyone to know about the giant pool of congealed blood because he just didn't feel right to just throw it out. People gave it to him.
All right. So yeah, okay, I like it. All right. So we've got a basic setting there. Where the powers came from, which is a big thing for this sort of thing.
Yes.
It was sort of the thought exercise, where I wanted the thought exercise to start. Now, the next question we have to ask is, in what ways do the nanomachines manifest powers?
I think they manifest in a bunch of different ways. Most of them being physical, though.
Yeah,
like traditional, like super strength, invulnerability, that kind of stuff.
Oh, Eric, I actually had a thought about the nanomachines, and okay, run with me on this one.
Okay.
So, okay, I like your idea about the fact that we can't predict exactly how the nanomachines, why the amount of nanomachines in a person's body. The amount of unactivated nanomachines in a person's body will have no effect on whether they develop powers or not.
Right.
But when they do activate, they multiply in basically them activate when they're activated. They actually it basically turns on their replication systems. Like it allows them to replicate the activated version, which then which is what allows them to modify the body and make changes.
Yes.
So there.
I like the idea of them showing up when the powers are active.
Yeah, exactly. You can't
like you being able to see like whether it's being like glowing veins just underneath the surface of the skin, or like circuit board type patterns showing up, that kind of thing.
Oh yeah, you could have somebody whose main power is that they're able to manifest nanomachines as a sort of an armored skin over themselves. Or you'll be able to be able to use nanomachines. The nanomachines can form like a Mega Man style Buster gun on their arm, etc.
Right. I like the idea also of them allowing you to create field effects, like manipulating magnetic fields, or in some people, obviously not everybody.
Yeah, well, again, and one of the big mysteries is why is there so many different types of abilities these nanomachines seem to be able to get?
Right.
It makes no sense. Just how sophisticated are these goddamn things?
Right. I also like the idea of them allowing, in some people, manifesting gross shape-shifting abilities, but not like being able to take other people's forms. So like you could grow extra arms or tentacles when you use your powers, but you couldn't, say, replace the President of the United States.
Okay.
Whether that's a limitation of human psychology or the nanomachines, no one's figured it out yet.
Right, yeah.
Especially considering, awakened cuckoo birds actually take the form of other types of birds.
Okay. Interesting.
This is a stable nanomachine mutation purely in cuckoos.
That hurts my head. But it's hilarious, so I think we can keep that in there. All right. All right, so we've got that. All right, so the next question we have to ask is, all right, so the first ship was shot down. The first ship blew up. Nanomachines spread the planet. People started developing power. Like nanomachines, affected everybody, and people started developing powers. Some people started developing powers. So my first question is, who is the first person to develop powers, and what powers do they have? And how powerful are they? Because that's sort of one of those interesting questions to have.
I think I like the idea of it being an African faith healer in like, I don't know, Nigeria or something.
Okay.
And it taking a while for people to figure out that it is actually the result of the nanomachines and not this charlatan suddenly developing actual divine powers.
Okay. Yeah, I can see that. That works. I like it.
So because not enough shit happens in Africa in these stories, so let's do some shit in Africa.
I like it. I like it. No, I like that. So we've got which country did you say? In Ethiopia, you said?
Ethiopia, Nigeria.
Somewhere in
It
there.
matters, but I don't know enough about Africa to be able to pick out a good one.
Yeah, same. That's my one issue.
Ethiopia actually sounds like a good bet because it's a relatively developed country, but it's got a lot of like wacky history with various religions.
All right,
so,
I like that. Yeah. That's a good
that's
reason.
about all I know about Ethiopia.
Right. So, all right. So,
also, Ethiopian food's really good.
okay, cool. So we have a quack from Ethiopia in Ethiopia who's was doing the whole faith healer thing, who actually manifested the ability to actually heal people.
Yes.
Much to his own chagrin, probably.
I see something like, what? Okay, I can spin this. I can make this work.
I like that. I like the idea of it, like of like the first instances of actual manifestation, like awakening of the nanomachines being in Africa.
Yes.
So like a bunch of those, like it starts chaining out from Africa out through the rest of the world.
Yes.
So I think from here, so that the faith healer is the first one. I think the next one is a small tribe of gorillas then awakens.
Actually, you know what I really like the idea? It happens within the initial pop-ups happen within so many latitude longitude of the equator, and spreads out from there.
Okay.
So like you have the faith healer and the small tribe of gorillas. And then you have like a previously uncontacted tribe in, say, the Amazon, all developing powers at once and using them to blow up loggers.
Or some number of them. I mean, like it doesn't have to be like all of the whole tribe, but
yeah, enough of them to be good at to be able to take out loggers and their state-sponsored kill teams.
Right. Because I don't think we want to have like everyone developing powers all at once. Like I think I like
no. This is over the course of weeks or months,
right?
That this stuff starts cropping up.
But I think the other thing we do want is, I mean, the question is what percentage of the population of the Earth should develop powers is the question I think we need to ask next. Do we want it to be widespread? My thought, honestly,
I think I like the idea of it starting at a trickle, becoming a torrent, and then stabilizing at some percentage.
I could see that. Here's my thought: is it starts out very, like you said, like a trickle, and we don't see much like a large increase in the number of awakenings until the next generation, and it being a generational thing.
Yeah, each generation develops has a higher percentage. I like that, actually.
Now, there may be a reason that thought popped in my head.
Gee, I wonder what it could be.
Never! I'm not a fan of classic science fiction. I'm totally not stealing from Clark.
That's ridiculous. Come on, man. Next he'll be saying that we can breed luck.
Well, that's Niven, but yeah.
Just saying, if you're going to steal, so might as well steal from two of the best.
Oh, sure, absolutely. No, in all seriousness, I'm not saying it necessarily will go all childhood's end, but I like that being a possibility. Like one way that the story that the can't like things could go. Um. So all right. So we're actually now like in the campaign setting. Like if it was run in the modern day, we'd probably be basically in the tail end of the second generation, basically.
Yeah, second generation, early third.
Right. Like the second generation is what is out there, and it's probably where the majority of heroes, people with powers who do stuff are.
Yeah.
And it's the third generation is now coming of age. I like this. And so we probably have a mix of again I like that there being a variety of power levels also because of course so you can have your sort of street level man of mystery types,
right, and your cosmic level craziness. So probably not actually cosmic level. But
I like not getting up like getting I think we should keep like things should stay a bit more grounded than the really upper levels of
Okay. You know what? Giving it more than a second's thought, yeah, you're right. Because then you start getting crazy shit going on, and that's... So we don't need another century.
Yeah. But like I like the idea that like while the numbers the amount of people who are developing powers is increasing by generation, it's not like we're not seeing a significant increase in power level.
Mm.
But there's more understanding and acceptance of how to how to deal with the abilities that you get when they manifest.
I like that idea. I also think that people manifesting late in life is still a thing.
Oh, sure, absolutely. That's a given.
I like the idea of an 80-year-old man who suddenly discovered that he's immortal.
Yep. I was thinking something
this couldn't have happened 20 years ago? 60 years ago? Hell, even just 10?
Well, yeah, like at age 80, he actually there's an 80-year-old man or woman, whichever, it doesn't matter. Realizes that they are now they're now immortal. Their body will not age any further. And in fact, they are healthier than they were before, but
right,
they're still like it's like their physical and mental faculties
really
will not.
Bad when I coughed up that pacemaker. That was a bad morning.
But yeah, their physical and mental faculties, will no longer deteriorate. They are apparently immortal. They don't know.
Right.
There's no way to know if they actually are. They won't have enough time.
Right.
And I like the idea also, like there being like sort of a Batman type hero, type from the first generation, who's still kicking around and doesn't seem to have slowed down.
Yes.
So he's not like he's in terms of raw power not very high, but he should have started slowing down by now, and he's showing no signs.
Yeah. Especially considering just like give 10 minutes of thought the amount of shit Batman puts himself through on a daily level. Like the dude should be a walking pile of niggling injuries.
Exactly. And this dude is like, yeah, it's not a thing.
Including one super strength villain actually breaking his back, and he's back a year later.
Because his particular awakening is, it repairs him, it fixes things. It repaired his broken spine.
Yeah, he basically has regeneration, just not like the hyper ridiculous stuff of like Wolverine or Deadpool.
No, it takes time.
It takes time. He heals at more or less normal rate, but it repairs to 100%.
It's fucking Corwin from the Chronicles of Amber.
Yes. Yes.
It took Corwin many years to regrow his eyes, but he did.
But he did regrow his eyes.
I like this. I like that a lot, actually.
He always heals back to 100%. He's just not particularly fast at healing.
Right, it just takes time. It's a lot faster than it would be for a normal person, and he can regenerate nerve tissue, which most people can't.
Right.
Okay, so I like that. All right, so what has all of this done to the geopolitical situation?
I think
Because it has to
purely
change
speaking
some
from the
things.
United States, there was and still is it's still a big hot button political issue in the United States, like what to do and how to treat the awakened, for lack of a better term. And being a little bit hopeful here, things have settled in the awakened are just people that they can do their things. They can do their stuff.
Yeah,
but,
I like the idea of there being a bit of a panic in the first generation, but as they
yes.
seem like as time has passed and there are more and more of them, it's like okay. And when everyone realized that it's possible anyone's abilities could awaken, it's not like
Yeah.
it's like oh, it really is literally like it just we don't know why it is but it can happen.
Right.
So there's less like governmental panic.
I like the idea of the president, a particularly like hard line about like rounding up and imprisoning and controlling the awakened suddenly manifesting in the middle of a speech on live TV.
Yes. Going, well, all right then.
I think I need to rethink my political views. Hold on a sec.
I like that. I like that a lot. Okay.
I think
so. We got that going on. I do think that there's like the fact that we have confirmed that there is life outside this outside of Earth is going to change things. Like that's
yes.
that's a given.
I think there's a lot more tension in general between the religious and secular worlds.
Okay.
Because it's going to polarize people in both directions.
Absolutely.
And while we might eventually work it out, we haven't yet. So things are very polarized in both the religious and secular worlds. You've got a lot more religious crazies, a lot more Dawkins bros out there. to name two things I hate.
H.C. Smithy in the chat says, but is there Mutant League football yet? Or human Pokemon fights? Probably not to either of those.
Oh, I do like the idea that there is a a transhuman sport league and a purely natural sports league.
Yes.
I
like Hogwarts Grunt's idea, concept, gag concept, but I like it is that, like, the Canadian Football League became became bigger than American football by allowing superpowers.
Yes.
But like, I like the idea of like Canada basically saying, yeah, okay, our football, the Canadian Football League saying we will allow people with superpowers to compete in this league, and the American Football League going, nope, you got to be pure, but you got to be purely no awakened powers.
Pure unaugmented humans only. And suddenly Canadian football is the way to go. And the poor NFL.
I don't feel sorry for him.
Neither do I. But I like the idea of both the NHL and NBA, both immediately seeing the writing on the wall and developing two separate leagues.
Yes.
But
I like it.
Yeah, but the NFL is dumb. So
I love football, but yeah.
Yeah, so do I. But the NFL is fucking Like the actual like league leaders are jerks. And
I will say
hate
the
them.
league that figures that out first, the splits that does the split, is definitively the NBA.
Yes.
Especially if it's during the '80s. I mean, as much as like
Yeah.
I will say, David Stern and his successor Adam Silver, both of them are geniuses about adapting very quickly to shit. So yeah, no, I could see Stern going, "Yep, okay, we need 2 leagues
Right.
right now."
I like the idea of the NHL reaching the same conclusion, going, NBA beat us to it, but we're still gonna do it.
As long as it was before Bettman, I'd believe that they would have figured it out. Bettman, on the other hand, not so much.
Probably. But we could say he never came to power because he was eaten by wolves.
Possibly. Awakened wolves might be terrifying.
Oh, I like the idea of wolves, awakened wolves becoming a real problem because they're actually fully sapient and probably smarter than us, just not as good at tool use.
I mean, that there could be some awakened wolves. I do think we want to avoid one of the things. Like, I like the idea of it not being consistent anywhere for the most part.
Right.
So, like, yeah, there are awakened wolves. Like one particular pack, like some of the leaders of the pack, like become fully sentient.
Yes.
Which is moderately scary.
I also really like the idea that this hive mind of sharks.
I know. I like the awakened shark hive mind. That is so not how sharks operate.
Normally. I know, it's so contrary to how they work, and it's such a terrifying concept.
No, I agree with you. I think it's actually kind of cool. No, I dig that. I dig it a lot. Let's see what else we got. All right, so yeah, but yeah, I think I'm thinking sort of again. I want to sort of think about how we've got these sort of the as you mentioned the science versus religion tension going on, which again,
yep,
that's a given. But I do think there's as I said, back to the sort of geopolitical sort of thing, like. Given that there is definitively an outside force, and we're not entirely certain they're benevolent.
Yeah, I think as a result,
how the world's governments react to that?
The Soviet Union never falls, but instead undergoes tremendous reforms to not be evil.
Okay. All right, so Gorbachev's glasnost reforms keep going further, is what you're saying?
Yeah. But East and West Germany never come together and are actually bitter rivals.
Okay, sure.
Despite East Germany coming out from under the Soviet thumb and during the reforms.
Right.
I like the idea of the big boogeyman actually in the world now being North Korea. Not just as like a joke failed state, but actually fucking terrifying. Because they seem to have a higher percentage of awakened, and no one knows why.
Right. I was thinking the exact same thing.
So they're actually the big geopolitical boogeyman.
Like everyone's like, they're currently not they're still small and they don't have a lot of population, but they're now actually worrisome.
Yes.
And currently they're not trying to do anything particularly, like there's a lot of like South Korea is like abjectly terrified because,
right.
Of course they are in that situation.
I think the Arab Spring is still going on and doesn't show any sign of abatement.
Okay, I like that.
Simply because you have a lot of young reformers coming up with that all have powers that will allow them to help, basically stand up to like the various like lunatic theocracies and oppressive governments.
Okay.
but none of them can agree on what to do after they've toppled, say, the Shah.
All right. Okay.
So that the Mideast is a giant mess, and no one knows how to fix it.
Well, of course.
Or whether or
that
not you even want to get involved, which would be an interesting difference from the real world.
I was about to say, how is that different? And then you...
Or even if they want to get involved.
Yeah. No, I like that. That's probably a good thing. I like the idea that Africa is is developing more on their own.
Yep. I like the idea of like an actual African league.
Sure.
Like where they're like sort of similar to the European Union.
Okay.
Complete with like problem states and states that are actually in charge. I'm going to go with Ethiopia and Nigeria basically taking the place of France and Germany. I like the idea that Egypt is invited in but rejected the invitation.
Okay. Sure.
And the Democratic Republic of Congo is still a goddamn mess and refuses to acknowledge the African League. And the African League is basically just like, dude, you're landlocked. What are you going to do?
All right. Cool. Let's see. What else? What else do we need? What else do we need? All right. So here's the next question: is how prevalent are? So the question is, do we want to go? I mean, like obviously we started this being talking about this being a superhero thing, but do we want to keep it being a superhero thing with superheroes and supervillains? I kind of do, but
I do too.
Okay. So in that case, we have to sort of think about like legal standing on this sort of thing.
Speaking purely for the states.
Yeah, that's really the only one we can really talk about.
Because it's the only one we're qualified to talk about.
That's my point.
I think a certain degree of quote-unquote vigilante justice in the form of your traditional superhero is accepted and tolerated simply because it's really hard to enforce that not happening.
Sure.
But it's but if you're going to be a superhero, then you basically have two types. You have like the full-on rogue, like vigilante, like your Batmans and your Punishers and your Moon Knights and whatnot.
Right.
Kind of scary guys. And the guys that actually take the training course, they know so that everything they produce isn't part of isn't fruit from the poison tree.
Right.
So some like powered vigilante shows up with like a bunch of bad guys all tied up. It's like, all right, who was this? This was the Crimson Stalker. Did you read your Miranda rights to any of you? No? Fuck. All right, let him go. I think that's like really like there's a whole lot of like the whole idea of the citizen's arrest has changed a lot in the States.
Yeah, I do. I like that.
Like a citizen is not under the obligation to enforce the law or stop a crime, but if they do so, there's a procedure they have to follow, especially if they have powers.
Yep.
Or it's all fruit of the poison tree.
Right.
So there's actually a course you have to take.
Right. I like that.
And I think I like the idea of the gun control debate being largely pushed aside by the power debate.
Well, yeah. Well, I'm not sure it inherently is. It's entirely pushed aside.
No, I think it's still a thing that happens, but it's
Well, no, there's
much
a
more
new
of a back
angle on it.
burner.
Is the thing
Yeah,
for the people who are not awakened, who are
right.
because there are a bunch of them who are terrified of the people who are.
Oh, certainly, yes. Well, I'm sure the NRA like loves like doing stories about like violent awakened villains and like how you need a gun to protect yourself against like Captain Bone Cruncher and his malevolent mastiffs. I actually really like that for a supervillain. Captain Bone Cruncher was a dog breeder, and now he's got the has the power to implant nanomachines inside the brain stems of dogs, and now he can mentally control them. So he's got a bunch of angry awakened mastiffs.
Oh dear. I like that he can only augment and control a limited number at a time, though.
Yes, and while the augments are always the same, and for some reason only a particular breed of mastiff. We'll make it Tibetan Mastiff to be as terrifying as possible.
I actually like that it can be basically anything. He just favors mastiffs for
okay, yeah. Everyone thinks it's just Tibetan Mastiffs, but then he like has like spy chihuahuas.
Maybe I don't know. I like the idea that like no one knows exactly what his limit is.
Right.
But there's definitely a numeric. He never lets know like. It's like because without a limit, then it's like he can take over all the dogs. Like that seems bad.
Yeah, it sounds really bad. His limit might simply be that he has to hand raise each dog.
It's possible, yeah.
But yeah, he is never seen without his two gigantic armored cybernetic Tibetan Mastiffs.
I like it.
Except for the occasion where he gets like locked up and then he breaks out because super villainy.
Well, yeah, of course. Yeah, I like to imagine there's probably a lot of research into going into how to actually deal, like eventually. Okay, it's like we've seen like okay, so the second generation has had more awaken. The third generation looks like it's going to have more awaken than the second generation. We're eventually going to have to figure out a way to actually, deal with to be able to incarcerate the awakened who break the law and actually not have them break out in trivial manners.
I like the idea that a recent development is a temporary nanotech nullifier. It doesn't last very long, and repeated exposure has severe health consequences.
Okay.
But it's a way to like shut down, say, a prison riot.
Okay. Possibly, yeah. It's a thought. Like particularly,
And it's not at all portable. Otherwise, the police would all have them. None of this, and all of this is moot.
right. Well, no, I was thinking something along the lines of like for particularly powerful ones. Like currently, we don't have any way to keep them locked up if they're
Sure.
So like for some of them, like it's got like some of them are quietly kept in medically induced comas. There's like, yes, they're in jail. How are they able to keep them in? They're in solitary confinement. We've got very thick walls. And special technology.
Actually, thinking about it, I really like the idea of the power nullifier being you have to be inside like basically a Faraday cage, and you can build it into a building or a car, but that's it. They have to be inside. You have to knock the dude out and get him inside the fucking Faraday cage.
Yes, absolutely. All right, we got some ideas there. That's good. What else do we need? I guess do we want to go into sort of detailing like big names or anything like that, or do we want to just leave that free form for now?
I think leaving that free form is probably the best thing to do because everyone's going to have their own idea about how they want to do that.
Okay.
Everyone's going to want to have like develop their own equivalent of Superman and Batman and whatnot. And Spider-Man and Captain Marvel and all of them. So
Right. All right. So my next question, I do have one or two things we should go over. Back to the
Sure.
aliens. What do they look like?
We don't know.
Okay. Okay. We're gonna go full on sort of quasi Vorlon thing with like they have encounter suit type shit.
Yes. And their counter suits are massive.
Okay, I like it.
Like the encounter suits are roughly like 14 feet tall.
Sure. And move with a strange sort of unnerving grace.
Yes.
Like it because they are very clearly not human.
I like the idea of the encounter suits being vaguely humanoid shaped.
Right. No, I agree.
But beyond that, like we have no idea what they look like.
Right.
They might not even be remotely human looking.
Right.
Like they might be like spider squids for all we know. I really want there to be spider squids now.
Spider squids. Oh God, awakened octopi.
Oh yeah. Oh, one villain I want to develop. A hyper-intelligent awakened octopus.
Okay. I'm down. Dr. Cephalopod.
No, Captain Cthulhu.
I don't. Captain tends to sort of fall into more heroic character types.
Well, of course he thinks he's heroic.
Yeah,
he's fighting for the freedom of mollusks.
I don't like that one.
Okay.
It doesn't feel right for me. I don't know what it is.
Okay. I more just think Captain Cthulhu is such a ridiculous name.
It is. Oh, it is. Absolutely. It's just it doesn't. See, here's the thing. I like the idea of the evil octopus supervillain being very annoyed with any comparisons to the like Cthulhu and such. I like the idea of him looking and going, but that's just stupid human stories.
I like the idea of him looking at it and going, that's just stupid human stories, but I can work with this. I can play off their psychology.
It's too obvious is the reason
That's part of why I like it. It's so obvious that it would only occur to the friggin' like super hyper intelligent octopus. It's so obvious and so clearly trite.
I really don't like
and
it.
he so obviously thinks it's awesome.
See, I really don't like it, actually. I'll be completely honest. It's just too. It's like yeah, of course the octopus is Cthulhu has Cthulhu in the name. Why? Of course it would. That is something I would literally roll my eyes at in a comic book.
Okay, fair enough.
I hate to say it. No, don't get me wrong.
I really like the idea of seriously, Captain Cthulhu. Yeah, that's what he calls himself. How does he even know what a Cthulhu is? Apparently he reads a lot, and he really likes those stories. Isn't it kind of obvious? That's what everyone thinks.
No, okay, Eric, I've got a better idea. All right, so we have whatever the evil mad scientist supervillain awakened octopus.
Right.
And he has a nemesis who is Captain Cthulhu.
Okay.
I like the idea of Captain Cthulhu being a, quote, hero, end quote. Because I like the idea of, like, he's more sort of, about... It's, he'd be a hero to the awakened, cephalopod community. Sort of, kind of Namor.
I can see that, yeah.
So
yeah,
he has a somewhat antagonistic relationship with the surface dwellers.
I actually really dig that, yes.
I like this. I'm so glad that popped in my head.
I think that's a great idea. Yes.
Because Namor's awesome. And a cephalopodic Namor is kind of hilarious. I'm Captain Cthulhu. That's not very comforting to us. Why would it be comforting to you? Why would I care about being comforting to you, you land dwellers?
Oh, that's not a good sign, is it? Yeah, I can dig it. I really dig it.
But he's definitely a hero to the awakened cephalopod community.
And I love the idea that like there is an awakened cephalopod community.
Yes,
and they are all sapient. And is this just a thing with cephalopods in general, or just awakened ones? We don't know. But just to be safe, octopi are pulled off of menus.
Yes,
there's actually a black market for octopus food.
I like it.
Octopus.
I like it. I like it. I like the idea of like some people are like asking like some random like awakened octopus about squid, and they're like, "Oh no, fuck those guys."
Every squid I've ever met has like been a complete jerk. You guys can talk? Yeah. Eat all the squid you want. Those guys are jerks.
Are they sentient? I don't know.
Eat all the squid you want. Those guys are jerks. That's the only answer you ever get.
Yeah. And they can't communicate with the squid. Oh dear. Oh god. All right. So I think we've got a pretty good framework for a campaign setting there. I mean, there's a lot more that can be developed, obviously. Like seriously, obviously.
Yes.
But I'm not sure I want to push it much further tonight. I like the idea of those guys. I like the idea of there being a notable, heroic. I like there being a notable. I like the idea of there being a notable. Actually, I don't think he's actually an awakened gorilla. Like the most famous of the awakened gorillas is not actually like it doesn't really get involved in the super heroics or anything like that. He's just basically unaging and brilliant, and is a scientist.
Instead of being a scientist, I really like the idea that he has a talk show, and he's really charismatic, and people open up to him.
Okay, that could work too.
I really like having like a like Ellen DeGeneres / Charlie Rose kind of octopus. Except you know what?
Not Charlie Rose.
Yeah, I just realized like, oh yeah, Charlie Rose is evil now. Sorry.
Yeah, he's kind of not a good person. It turned out. Oh dear. Brilliant interviewer though.
Yeah.
But
yeah. Like inside the actor's studio kind of deal, but with a gorilla.
Ooh, I like the idea that he used to be an actor.
Yes.
Used to be an actor. Now he actually is taken over basically inside the actor studio from what's his name? Crap.
Yes. Yes, I love it. It's a great idea. It's perfect.
What's his name? James Lipton. That's who it is.
Yes.
He's taken over. Yeah, he went from being like an actor. He actually got into directing for a while. And
I like the idea that he was recognized as a really good actor, but there just aren't a lot of roles for hyper intelligent gorillas. So into directing, and turns out he's a terrible director. Like his movies suck. But then he went into
I like that. No, actually, Eric,
his real calling and interviewing people inside the actor's studio.
Right. No, I like the idea that he actually has a good grasp on like the theory of being a director, like all the like film theory and such. But he's never really been able to apply it directly.
Yes. Like, there's always some element that's missing. Like people describe his direction style as soulless and banal.
Yes. And it frustrates him to no end because he's like,
yes.
He watches the films after he's like, Yeah, they're right.
God damn it!
Ugh. All right, we're gonna try something else. Okay, screw it. I'm done. I'm done with being a director. I clearly can't do this.
Someone invested a gigantic budget into some like huge franchise movie, and it tanked. And it's like, okay, I'm done. I know you're never going to give me another movie after this. I'm sorry, I'm done.
Like they're like, I like the idea that like there being certain elements of things he does in his movies that are like everyone goes, yeah, that's really cool. There's no heart to this movie.
Yeah.
This movie has no soul, man. I know. I can see it when I watch it actually being played back in front of me, but I don't know how to fix it.
I don't know what I would have done different.
It's not that he lacks empathy, or it's like, otherwise wouldn't be as good at interviewing as he is.
Yes.
I like it. I like the idea of him like him actually probably having the abilities to have been actually like a hero, and he just does not have the mental inclination for it.
It's just not doesn't interest him.
Like he's probably been famous for like rescues from like some minor actual disaster happens, and he does something very physically impressive. It's like, why don't you do this more? Well, I mean, if someone's in trouble in front of me, I'll happily help them, but
Actually, I really like that. Like the like he regularly shows up in like the like awesome things you didn't know about this celebrity thing, and how they're actually like a really nice person.
Yes,
type of thing.
Exactly.
He regularly shows up in those kinds of things.
Yep. Tachi's like Tachi in the chat says, I kind of want him voiced by Ian McKellen. Yeah.
I don't know why, but I just go like Clancy Brown. I want him to be Clancy Brown. I'm on a Clancy Brown kick lately.
I don't understand why, Eric. Not like you like Clancy Brown.
Yeah.
Oh God. So yeah, we've got a few characters we've established. We've got the cephalopods. We got the gorilla. We've got the the Batman type guy who's basically immortal and regenerates very slowly. I like that. Some asshole villain actually broke his back, and a year later he was back up and doing everything fine. What? How? It healed.
Because I'm good at my job. That's why.
That
doesn't answer any of the questions.
Nanomachine, son. All right. I think that's probably going to do it for this week.
I think so.
I mean, we could probably ramble up a few more character ideas, but I mean, again, this is sort of creating a framework for a setting. We've got a setting. We're not going to go too deep. Like, if we wanted to go really deep into it, we could, but we do sometimes, depending on the scope of the setting. This is a big scope. Like, if we wanted to drill down and focus on a city, it'd be much easier to develop characters and such for the city.
No, absolutely.
But yeah, I think it's a good basic it's a good concept for a setting, and with a lot of options of way to go with stuff, and a lot of questions that haven't been answered yet, which is actually important. You don't want to answer all the questions.
Right. You want all those. The GM needs something.
Yeah, exactly. And again, what is the deal with the aliens? I like the idea. I like the idea of every now and then, one of them shows up to just observe in person on the planet. Like some big
completely unannounced and just goes, ignore me.
Basically. Some big superhero fight starts up, and all of a sudden there's one of these 14-foot tall observers standing there watching. As both the heroes.
I like the idea that there's no flash of light, like teleportation. They don't drop from the sky or anything.
It's just there.
It's just there. which lends the whole creepiness to it.
Absolutely. No, I agree completely. Just, it's there, all of a sudden. This 14-foot-tall armored thing.
Standing there perfectly still, quietly observing what's happening.
And then, you know, when everything wraps, when the fight finally wraps down, it's gone.
Actually, really like the idea of that happening during UN security meetings.
Just every now and then one of them shows up.
Everyone once in a while, it will just like appear in the middle of the thing, and people will stop and due to like previous messages, just continue on as though it's not there. Despite the fact it's standing in the middle of the fucking dais stage thing.
And then it's gone.
Half the time without the vote ever reaching a resolution.
Right, it like, you know, the vote starts, like they start saying they start doing the cast your votes thing, and it's gone.
Yeah.
Like, what? That's good. All right, folks. I think that's going to do it for tonight. Thank you all.
Just briefly about the things showing up randomly.
Yep.
There have been unsubstantiated reports of them showing up in people's bedrooms. Somehow still being 14 feet tall, but standing inside your 7-foot tall ceiling.
Okay.
Some sort of weird spatial bending thing. And it's just sitting there watching someone sleep, and then it's gone.
All right. Definitely
just
weird.
Totally ratchet up the creep factor to these things.
All right, I like it. Anyways, that's going to do it for this week. Thank you all so much for watching. I hope you guys enjoyed listening, I should say.
That could be watching with their ears.
Yeah, sure. But thank you again, guys. We really do appreciate it. Hope you guys enjoyed this. As usual, you know, we try to save time. We usually save time at the end of each episode for viewer questions. We didn't get any this week, so... But if you do have questions you'd like answered on the show, you can email them to us. Our email address is surlygrognards@yahoo.com, surlygrognards@yahoo.com. Or you can post your questions on YouTube in the comment section of this recording. If you've got show topic suggestions, we goddamn love those.
Those are great. They really are.
We love getting show topic suggestions. It means that, you know, we can talk about the stuff you guys want us to talk about. Also, it means that we don't have to half-ass it. We didn't half-ass it this week. We actually came up with the topic several hours beforehand.
Was it several hours? It was only like an hour and a half.
It was about 2 to 3, somewhere in that range. It was about 5 o'clock when I mentioned it.
Okay.
Anywho.
Couldn't have been several hours. I didn't get home until just after 5.
Fair point. You're right, it was an hour and a half. I'm wrong.
Okay.
Anywho, I was trying to be... Never mind. Oh, also, if you've got constructive criticisms, ways we can make the show better, let us know. We really do like hearing that stuff. Feedback is good.
Yes.
Well, feedback that is constructive criticism, not like, you know, microphone feedback. That's bad. Well, I guess except in like certain musical ways. And, oh God, I'm rambling now. Thanks everybody. I hope you guys enjoyed, and we will see you guys probably next week, because we probably won't be. I don't know if Gab's back this weekend or not. I don't know if we're going to even start the next series for 3 Men in Anime. So
yeah,
this weekend. We'll see. Anyway, guys, thank you for watching. We'll see you guys next time.
Bye.